There's also a noticeable sense of maturity running throughout the album. While Ross still paints vivid pictures of expensive cars, designer fashion, and financial success, many of the lyrics now reflect the lessons that come with experience. Rather than proving he belongs at the top, he sounds like someone who has already earned his place and is simply continuing to build on that legacy. Early reactions online suggest many fans appreciate exactly that. Some believe Set in Stone represents a return to classic Rick Ross, while others see it as another confident continuation of his established style. These opinions are based on fan discussions and will likely continue evolving as more listeners spend time with the project. The album's release also coincides with one of the biggest celebrations of Ross' career. Nearly 20 years after Port of Miami debuted, he's marking the milestone with a special anniversary tour featuring the Renaissance Orchestra and the Sainted Trap Choir. By blending hip-hop with orchestral arrangements and live vocal performances, Ross is giving fans a fresh way to experience the music that helped shape his career. It isn't simply a nostalgic celebration. It's a reminder of how far both the artist and his music have come. Outside the recording studio, Rick Ross has spent years building an impressive business empire. Through Maybach Music Group, he helped develop new talent while expanding his influence beyond his own recordings. At the same time, he invested in real estate, restaurant franchises, and numerous business ventures, creating multiple sources of income that reflect the entrepreneurial mindset often heard throughout his lyrics. Success, ownership, and financial growth have become recurring themes in his music because they mirror his life outside of it. For many fans, Ross represents more than a rapper. He represents the idea of turning artistic success into long-term wealth. The timing also makes the album especially meaningful. Nearly 20 years after Port of Miami introduced the world to Rick Ross, he's releasing new music while celebrating the project that launched his career. Rather than relying on nostalgia, Ross uses Set in Stone to show that his journey is still moving forward. Longtime fans immediately began comparing the album to classics like Teflon Don and God Forgives, I Don't, while newer listeners were curious to see how his unmistakable sound fits into today's hip-hop landscape. Before the full album arrived, Ross carefully built anticipation with 2 promotional singles that offered listeners a preview of what was coming. The first, Minx in Miami, featuring Max B and French Montana, delivered exactly what fans expected from a Rick Ross record. Smooth production, luxurious imagery, and effortless confidence combined to create a track that celebrated the lavish lifestyle Ross has spent years perfecting in his music. Rather than experimenting with a completely different direction, he leaned into the sound that made him one of hip-hop's biggest names. The second single, Mahogany Caskets, featuring T.I., took a different approach. While still polished and cinematic, the record carried a more reflective tone. 2 Southern rap veterans traded thoughtful verses about experience, ambition, and longevity, reminding listeners why both artists continue to command respect after decades in the game. Together, these 2 singles showed that Set in Stone would balance familiar luxury rap themes with moments of maturity and reflection. Once the complete track list was revealed, another major talking point quickly emerged: the guest appearances. Rick Ross has always had a talent for assembling impressive collaborations, and this album continues that tradition. For nearly 20 years, Rick Ross has been one of hip-hop's most recognizable voices. While countless artists have changed their sound to keep up with new trends, Ross has built his career by staying true to the larger-than-life style that made him famous. Now, he's back with his 13th studio album, Set in Stone, a 19-track project loaded with major collaborations, polished production, and the signature confidence fans have come to expect. But this release feels different. Coming as he celebrates 2 decades since Port of Miami, many are wondering whether this is simply another solid album, or the beginning of a new chapter in an already legendary career. Let's take a closer look at why Set in Stone has become one of the most talked about hip-hop releases of the year. Everyone expected Rick Ross to release another album eventually, but few expected him to arrive with this level of confidence. Set in Stone isn't presented as a comeback because Ross never truly disappeared. Instead, It feels like another statement from an artist who has quietly remained one of rap's most consistent figures. Reaching a 13th studio album is an accomplishment very few artists ever achieve. The music industry changes constantly. New stars appear every year, and many careers fade just as quickly as they rise. Ross has managed to avoid that fate by sticking to what he does best. His cinematic production, commanding delivery, and luxury-inspired storytelling remain at the heart of his music, proving that authenticity can sometimes outlast every trend.